Hello everybody, it is Monday the 17th of October. I want to talk about what I can see now, how a prayer works, what Jesus actually taught, and why there need to be two or more for a miracle to happen, which is the pretty much instantaneously changing reality, which is a miracle, and this is how you do it. But this is heavy machinery. Yeah, just because you have the key and you know vaguely which pedals to press does not mean you should just take off with this thing and to hell with the consequences. Because there will be consequences and there are pitfalls in this. And Jesus very much showed one of the pitfalls. That is what we've been shown, how to go wrong, not how to do. Well, it is both right and wrong. It's in principle how you do it and how you go wrong. And I want to show these things here because it is stuff that we need to consider, that we need to understand before we go running with this thing. We need to know what it is we're doing. So what got me to this again over the last few days to a greater understanding of this was I saw this video which talked about system that is in nature, the system of hubs and nodes, where you have hubs and the nodes give to the hubs, and then the hubs should give to the nodes, giving and receiving. It is actually not quite like that in the spiritual world. The hubs don't actually give. But I come to that in a minute. So you have this understanding of hubs and nodes, and somebody has this understanding and they have built it in the materialistic world, because this is very much a world of hubs and nodes, where you have hubs and everybody's given to the hubs, and the hubs receive from everybody, and they should be given, and they're rather stingy. But we are working this on a materialistic level. But it is in nature. I mean, you can see it in the picture of the neural network, the hubs and the nodes. You can see it in the energetic connections between the stars. So yes, that system exists, and they're working it on a materialistic level. There is another knowledge they got out of these teachings, and that is, the way of when you put thought onto a desire, when the two come together. Of course, they're not working it again on a spiritual level, because that means that would be the way of prayer, but you've been very much told you are nothing and you will not receive and you're sinful, but they're still putting thoughts onto the desires and creating a very great energy. And the fact that we're not using it on a spiritual level means it's driving us. It should go out of us, but it doesn't, because we know we're sinful and we're not receiving, and so this thing builds in us and then it's driving us. And that is what they're doing. Again, they're working it on a materialistic level, simply by not letting this energy go where it should be going, into a prayer. And again, they're not calling that spiritual, they're calling that applied psychology. Anyway, so that is what they're doing on a materialistic world, using that knowledge. So again, how do we use the knowledge of hubs and nodes and the creation of desires and the energy of desires? How do we work this on a spiritual level? Again, we are in the same system where we are on the same knowledge. It doesn't change, you just use it differently. So the hubs are the doorways. Yeah, if you are a hub, you are the doorway for the desires of others. They will work through you. That is why you need two or more, because one has to be the desire and one has to be the doorway. If you cannot ask for yourself, you need to ask through somebody else. So that is basically the very basic of hubs and nodes, how it works. And now, in order to be the doorway, you need to nullify yourself. You need to be an open door. So one way you could do that is actually beating yourself out of the way. That is your thought. Beating yourself out of the way, nullifying yourself. For myself, I ask nothing. I shall beat myself soggy until I am nothing. But the other way to do it is where would actually have not much effort is if you are in full agreement. I mean, you're still stepping out of the way, but it would take no effort to do so because you are in full agreement with what is being asked. And you're happy to become a servant to what is being asked. Which is probably the better way. If you are in full agreement with everybody else, you're all in the same agreement. It's not one becoming a sacrifice, having to do away with what he wants, but you're all in agreement. Now, that was one of the pitfalls of Jesus. Yeah? He said for myself, therefore I need to nullify myself, therefore I need to beat myself out of the way. I need to overcome my own thoughts on the matter. And then, of course, the other thing is compassion. And compassion, now there is the one where he says, I am, and that is compassion speaking, I am the door through which all shall enter in. That is the energy that will take the desire of, to the all. And it is, because there are so many in agreement, you're really concentrating, and it's like a laser. You're like concentrating the energy going through one, and thereby multiplying and really making this energy strong so it can reach the field, can interact with the field, and then it is not the node, not the hub that is giving. But again, it is the desire is going through it and the answer is coming through it. It is just the doorway. Or you are just the doorway. Now, Jesus showed that anybody could become a hub. Yeah? It doesn't take great knowledge, it doesn't take great education, it doesn't... The desire to give. If you are the desire to give, you can become the doorway. Anybody can. So, pitfalls. We still must think about pitfalls. Now, another pitfall, and that is the pitfall with compassion. It will let anything and everything through because it does not judge. Yeah? But then, like, if you have an addict of, a heroin addict, let's say, yeah? And he's got a very strong desire for heroin. Again, if your desire was for healing, you would not be compatible. Then what are you supposed to do? Filled with compassion and with a desire to give, do you then come into an agreement that he should have more heroin? Because he should be the servant to his desire. There is no reason. And it does not necessarily lead to a good outcome. But there's another one, again, another thing with compassion. And this is John 16, yeah? And that is the full text out of, I think it is out of the Nag Hammadi, yeah? And it was translated out of the Aramaic. And what it then actually says, not the short version that is in the Bible, but the full version. It says, all things that you ask straightly and directly from inside my name, you shall be given. So far you have not done this. Ask without hidden motive and be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire, that your gladness may be full. And there's the pitfall as the hidden motive. There is a pitfall because through Jesus, a hidden motive entered. Now Jesus said, and I think I was talking about the hub, about the door, yeah? If your eyes are closed, if you do not know, it is not accounted you for sin. That is to say, you're not missing the mark. You can still be full open because you do not know what is entering through. But you very much suffer the consequences because you are the receiver of the answer, and there was a hidden motive there. And the outcome was his own that he was being crucified. Now again, he could see it coming, and he could stop it at any, using his own judgment. He should have closed his door to that part of it, but he didn't. He beat himself soggy against his own better judgment, I would say, against any instinct a human being would have, and said, my will doesn't matter. I'm only to a servant to everything, to all, including his own crucifixion. And that is where the whole thing just goes too far. It shouldn't happen like this. So how do we work this, and how do we know there's not a hidden motive? And the thing is, he was open, fully open, and he jammed that door open. Absolutely jammed it open. And we know that by the example of the woman that had the issue of the blood, and that was like touching him without Jesus knowing it was happening. Sorry, although he knew something was being worked through him. He, as I say, his door was fully open all the time. Anybody could come and work through him. And that's a bad way to be. There's no judgment. There's no sound judgment. So, and the last thing is, to what amount? Yeah, if you have a desire for something, to what amount? And I think amount is important. Yeah, it is not a vague thing of I want. And there's the thing that what Greg Braden was talking about. Yeah, when this Native American went into this medicine wheel circle and asked for rain. Yeah, felt rain. Yeah, was the feeling of rain, and maybe also at that moment, maybe also a part of compassion in there as well, because you feel for that which needs water, nature and people and whatever. But there was no thought of how much, and then it started raining and raining and raining, and everything got flooded. So humanity should really be now intelligent enough to know you can have too much of a good thing. So there needs to be a restriction. So then when we ask, I would say that's where the rational thought comes in, where it most definitely has a purpose, and where the, what I call the serpent dance, whatever doubt comes in, work it. There's something you don't know, and then have a very clearly defined thought of what it is should actually happen, and place that. And that is an energy as well. And mix that energy with the emotional energy, make them become one. So what you're sending out is a very defined idea. It's not let me overflow. Good, more is definitely better. No, it's not always. You create a flood, and that's not good. And then the last point is, so what is then the free will of the hub? Because it is not that one should do away with himself, for the good of all. If there's free will for all, then that includes the hub. So where is his free will? And I remember that it was years ago, it was right at the beginning. I was out in my garden and I was hanging out washing, and this question came to me, because I was thinking about groups and coming together. And the question came to me, if the group decided to do something and you were not in agreement with that, would you do it? And again, there's Jesus. He said, yes, absolutely, I'll do it. Yeah, I just beat myself out of the way and become an open doorway to all. And I said, and again, that is my personal judgment, take it or leave it. I said, no, I would not. If I am not in full agreement, I would not be a part of it. I would try to talk to the others, to bring my doubt, and reason why I'm doubting this. And if they won't listen, if they still go ahead with what they're doing, no, I would not be a part of it. I said, and of course I could have been wrong. Maybe they were right and I somehow saw it wrong, that problem wasn't actually there. So I said, if they do it and they're right, and the outcome is good, I would be the first to congratulate them and admit my own mistake. And if they go wrong, I would be the first one there to offer to help to set it right. But at the moment of it happening, no, I would not be a part of it if it was against my reasoning, against my conscience. And there is the freedom of the hub. And that is, say no. Do not become the hub if you are not in full agreement. And there's where then judgment, really, working this entire thing in judgment, is first of all the nodes, those that come together in a desire, should really think about what it is they're desiring and really define it very clearly, not just this vague, I want, and create a flood, but clearly defining means setting boundaries. You are setting boundaries, and yes, boundaries can be or are very much a restriction of your freedom of all possibilities. But they can save you. They're there to save you. Yeah? Because you might shoot past the point of what is actually good. So yeah, set boundaries. Let the rational mind set boundaries. So that's what the nodes should do. They should actually know what they're doing. And then the one that agrees to become the hub. And actually it would take a person that is naturally altruistic. It would be the easiest for a person that is naturally altruistic, that wants to do for others. But as I said, the free will in the hub is that he can say either, yes, I agree to becoming the hub to that, and filled with a desire that they should receive, or say, I'm not in agreement, find yourself another hub, basically. Find yourself another hub. And I think that is as far as I've gotten with this. I see there is a lot to be considered. Just because I can, and I know vaguely how to do it, and no consideration of everything else, will lead to destruction. Unless you're lucky and you've actually picked on the right thing. But that is luck then. You shouldn't rely on luck. You don't have to rely on luck. You've been given reason. Anyway, this is as far as I got with this. Now, if you are in agreement with this, first of all, donate to my channel. I want to go on. Donate to my channel. There's a donate button at the top corner of my homepage. Help me. And the other thing is, if you think that this is something that should be discussed widely, that should become a part of the mainstream thinking, spiritual thinking that is going on at the moment, then please share my videos and bring this to awareness. I am not saying that I'm right. I'm not, but I think I have some points here that should be considered by all. Because there is spiritual lunacy going on out there. And maybe some reason, some better understanding needs to come into this. Anyway, I leave it at that, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.